Peltz, and I am the most interesting griller in the world, and this is Blind Grilling. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about gloves. When it comes to barbecue, when it comes to grilling, smoking, one of the things, especially with those who are blind and visually impaired, that is on our minds is safety. Where if we're dealing with fire, we're dealing with things that are hot, we don't want to burn ourselves. But we also have to rely on our hands to feel our way around. And so we're always looking for the best pair or set of gloves that we can use to kind of do what we need to do properly and in the best way possible. So what I've got here on the table in front of me are several sets of gloves that I have used, I've tried, and I'm going to talk about what I like and what I don't like about them. Just briefly, it shouldn't take very long, but again, this is something that I think is really important, especially for those who are working around hot grills all the time. And you want to not only be safe around the grills and utensils, but sometimes you have to grab hot food as well. And not all these gloves are going to work for every situation. So let's get started. And first of all, right here we have a silicone glove that is just entirely silicone. It's rated for about 450 as far as heat goes. One of the problems with this type of glove is dexterity. Once you get this glove on your hand, you really can't feel what you're grabbing very well at all. And when it comes to really grabbing a lot of hot things, I found that it just isn't really quite enough. Grabbing a skillet that's been in a grill or even in the oven, as far as that goes, they just, to me, they just don't really seem to work as well, especially considering the dexterity. Now, if you're pulling off meat, if you want to grab a hot brisket, a pork butt, or something like that, and put it in foil or put it in a pan, then doing something like that, they work okay for that, but we do have, I think, some better options other than these all silicone gloves. The next set that we have are mostly silicone on the finger part, but they also are lined, they're cotton lined, and they are waterproof. And that's pretty important. Again, the dexterity is not completely there with these. You know, not being able to really feel what it is you're grabbing, although they are a little bit more loose than the all silicone gloves. They do work a little bit better than the all silicone gloves, but and like they are waterproof, and so they're really good for grabbing meat off of the grill, being waterproof, because if you go to start grabbing meat and it starts dripping and you get all of that moisture from those from the meat, you don't want those getting through your gloves. And so these are pair of gloves are something that work pretty well. You can pick these up usually at a grilling store. Pits and Grills here in Springfield, Missouri carry these, and they're like $20 a pair. And so that's pretty reasonable, in fact. Our next set is probably one of my favorite. They're a cotton glove with silicone pads. These are called Paws. And what these really allow me to do is have the dexterity and really be able to feel through these gloves with what I'm grabbing. These Paws have been probably some of my absolute favorite for at the grill. Grabbing hot skillets, salt stones that have been on the grill, and we're talking 500 degrees or more. I've been able to grab those. You can grab meat with these. The problem is, because they are mostly cotton, they will get wet, and once they get wet, they're useless. I mean, you throw them in the washer, you wash them, you get them dry, and you're ready to use again. But if you grab meat and they get wet, it goes right through the cotton, and you will burn yourself, even with the silicone pads because the heat go right through that cotton when it's wet. However, when they're dry, they're some of the best gloves that I've found for grabbing anything that is hot, whether it's from the stove, whether it's from your grill, cast iron, Himalayan salt stones, whatever it is you've heated up. These things have worked absolutely marvelous. I mean, just wonderful, and are probably my favorite glove. But again, if they get wet, then that's the drawback with the pit paws. So next we have probably, and again, these pit paws were $20 a pair, just to point that out again. The next is probably the cheapest option that we have, but extremely effective, especially for grabbing meat. Not so much unless you're really quick as far as grabbing anything hot, because we're not talking about insulated gloves. What we have here is a pair of cotton glove liners. You can pick these up at a lot of hardware stores. Pits and Grills here in Springfield, they actually carry these glove liners, and what they do is when you get the glove liner on your hand, because they're cotton, well, you'll take a nitrile glove, similar to a latex, but it's non-latex, and they're food grade for handling food, and you'll put the nitrile glove over the cotton liner. It goes right on there. It makes it waterproof, and so you can grab hot foods, you can grab meat, and you can grab your brisket, your pork butt, you can grab steaks and turn them over. Whatever you want or need to do, you can do with these. The nitrile gloves, a box of say 100 is around $7 to $8 on Amazon. Again, some of your grilling stores will carry those, like Pits and Grills again here in Springfield carries those. These cotton liners, we're talking a pair for less than $2, like $2 for a pair of cotton lined gloves. So this is an extremely cheap option. I wouldn't use these if you're going to be grabbing and holding a lot of cast iron necessarily, but if you're just picking up meat, turning meat, or grabbing something off a grill really quickly and you have the nitrile lining over it, it keeps them from getting wet and all nasty, and these are just a really great cheap option. And finally, it probably looks really similar to these gloves. It's a cotton glove, but this is a cut-resistant glove. And with this cut-resistant glove, it actually has stainless steel threads that run through that help it, that provide the protection when you're cutting. And you can use these similarly to these cotton lining gloves and put the nitrile gloves over it, but the heat will leak through a little bit faster, probably because of the steel lining that runs through the threads of the cotton. But I've used them that way, and for things really quick, they work pretty well. And so if you're looking for a pair of gloves, if it's to handle hot foods, these cotton gloves, Pit Paws, Big Green Egg has their own brand of a real nice cotton glove with the silicone pads and on the palm and fingers that work really well, allow you the dexterity. If you're blind and visually impaired and you still really want that, those are probably one of your best options. If you're going to be handling things that are wet, again, one of these silicone gloves with the cotton lining that are waterproof, again, make maybe a little bit better option, but you lose a little bit of dexterity. But if you're just going to be grabbing food, and rather than messing with tongs or handling big items of food, these cotton liners and the nitrile gloves are definitely the way to go. Folks, I hope you found this video helpful. If you have, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to have all kinds of other videos coming up on recommendations, techniques, and when it comes to grills, thermometers, and all kinds of other items for you. And of course, we're getting back into grilling season very soon as well. So just remember, though, again, subscribe, ask your questions below, tell us what kind of gloves you're using. We want to hear from you. And if you've got other gloves that you like, put those in the comments as well. And remember, as always, folks, if you're looking, you ain't cooking.